What if I told you that $5 a day could make you a millionaire? Not 5,000, not 500, just 5. The kind of money you barely notice leaving your wallet. The kind of money that disappears on coffee, snacks, delivery fees, or random online purchases you forget about the next week. $5 a day. It sounds almost insulting, doesn't it? Because when most people think about becoming a millionaire, they imagine startups, crypto explosions, real estate empires, or winning the lottery. They imagine something dramatic, something risky, something flashy. But what if I told you that the real path to becoming a millionaire is boring? What if it's quiet? What if it's disciplined? And what if it's available to almost anyone watching this right now? Today, I'm going to show you how $5 a day can turn into $1 million. Not through magic, not through gambling, not through some shady get-rich-quick scheme, but through something far more powerful: consistency. Before we dive into the system, I need to destroy a myth. A big one. If you ask most people how to become rich, they'll tell you two things. Work hard, save money. It sounds logical. It sounds responsible. It sounds right, but it's incomplete. And by itself, it will never make you wealthy. Let's do the math. If you save $5 a day, that's $1,825 a year. If you do that for 10 years, that's $18,250. If you do that for 50 years, that's $91,250. Even if you did it for 100 years, you still wouldn't reach $1 million. You would be disciplined, you would be responsible, and you would still not be rich. Saving alone will not make you wealthy. And there's another silent enemy that most people ignore: inflation, the invisible tax, the tax on the poor, the tax on the uninformed. If your money is sitting in a bank account doing nothing, it is slowly losing power. Prices rise, groceries get more expensive, rent increases, gas, healthcare costs more, education costs more. Your money buys less and less. So if you simply save, you are slowly falling behind. You are running on a treadmill that is moving backward. You think you're safe, but you're shrinking. That's why this is not about saving. It's about investing. It's about making your money work harder than you do. Now, let me be very clear about something. This is not a short-term plan. This is not a 30-day challenge. This is not about flipping $5 into $5,000 overnight. This is a long-term strategy. And before you click away because you want something faster, listen to this. Time will pass anyway. 10 years will pass. 20 years will pass. 50 years will pass. The question is simple. When that time passes, will you have nothing, or will you have assets working for you? Here's another truth that most people don't want to hear. Do not rely on your government for retirement. Do not rely on a pension system that may or may not exist when you need it. Do not assume someone else will take care of you financially. The only retirement you can truly trust is the one you build yourself. And here's the part that should make you slightly uncomfortable. Most schools never teach you how to invest. They teach history. They teach mathematics. They teach science. They teach literature. But they don't teach you how to build wealth. They don't teach you how to use money as a tool. So if no one ever showed you this before, that's not your fault. But once you understand it, it becomes your responsibility. So let's talk about the system. This entire strategy has 3 simple pillars. Think of it like a table with 3 legs. Remove one leg and the table collapses. Keep all 3, and it stands strong for decades. The first pillar is the amount. $5 per day. That's it, $5. It can be €5, it can be the equivalent in your local currency. The exact number isn't the magic. The consistency is. $5 is small enough that almost anyone can find it. Cut one coffee, skip one fast food order, cancel one subscription you barely use. That's your $5. But here's the key. You must pay yourself first, not if there's money left over. Every single day, imagine you owe yourself $5, like a debt, like a bill. You wouldn't skip your rent, you wouldn't skip your electricity bill, so don't skip paying your future every day. That's pillar 1. Pillar 2 is where things change. You do not let that money sit. You invest it, specifically, into something that has stood the test of time. One of the most powerful wealth-building tools ever created, the stock market, and more precisely, a broad market index fund. For example, an S&P 500 index fund. This index represents 500 of the largest companies in the United States. Companies that build technology, companies that create medicine, companies that sell products across the globe, companies that shape the world. Over the long term, the S&P 500 has historically returned around 7 to 10% annually, on average. Not every year. Some years are down, some years are up. But over decades, the trend has been upward. Now, here's the third pillar, and this is where the magic happens. Compound interest. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. And whether he said it or not, the principle is real. Compound interest means you earn returns on your returns. Your money makes money. Then that new money makes more money. And then that makes more. It's a snowball rolling down a hill. At first it's small, it looks unimpressive, you might even laugh at it, but as it rolls, it grows, and eventually it becomes unstoppable. Let's apply the numbers. $5 a day is $1,825 per year, invested annually at an average return of 8%, reinvesting everything. No withdrawals, no panic selling, just consistency. After 10 years, you're not a millionaire. You're around $27,000. Not life-changing yet. After 20 years, you're around $90,000. Now it's interesting. After 30 years, you're around $220,000. Now you're paying attention. After 40 years, you're over $500,000. Now it feels real. After 50 years, you cross $1 million. And here's the crazy part. You didn't win anything. You didn't invent anything revolutionary. You didn't inherit anything. You simply stayed consistent, reinvested, left alone. Now let's compare that to simply saving. If you just saved $5 a day for 50 years, you'd have about $91,250. That's respectable, but it's nowhere near $1 million. Investing didn't just increase your result, it multiplied it more than 10 times. That's the power of compounding. Now let's talk about rules, because without rules, this falls apart. Rule number 1, invest consistently. If 1 month you can't invest, fine. Do it quarterly, do it biannually. But don't quit. Consistency beats intensity. Rule number 2, do not sell during panic. The market will crash. It will drop. It will scare you. Headlines will scream. Experts will predict doom. And that's when most people make the biggest mistake. They sell. They lock in losses. And they break the compounding cycle. If your horizon is decades, short-term crashes are discounts. They are opportunities, not threats. Rule number 3, never stop contributing, even when it feels small. Even when progress seems slow. Especially when it feels boring. Boring is good. Boring is stable. Boring builds empires. Now I know what you're thinking. 50 years is a long time. And you're right. So let's talk about acceleration. Because you can speed this up. The simplest way is increasing your contribution. Instead of $5, invest 10. Instead of 10, invest 20. Small increases make massive differences over decades. If you invested $10 a day instead of 5, you could potentially hit 1 million in significantly fewer years. Another way to accelerate is starting during market downturns. When markets fall, prices are lower. You're buying shares on sale. Over the long term, that can increase your returns. And a third way is increasing your average return. That requires more knowledge, more research, maybe adding other diversified investments. But be careful. Higher return usually means higher risk. And the goal here isn't gambling. It's building predictable wealth. Now, let me tell you a quick story. Imagine two friends. Both are 25 years old. One decides to invest $5 a day starting today. The other says, "I'll start later. I'll start when I earn more." 10 years pass. The first friend has momentum. The second friend is just getting started. By the time they both reach 55, the first friend has a massive advantage. Not because he earned more, not because he was smarter, but because he respected time. Time is the real multiplier. Money is just the tool. And here's something even more powerful. As your income grows, your $5 can grow too. Maybe at 25, $5 feels like effort. At 35, it's nothing. At 45, you can invest 50 a day. At 50, maybe 100. The earlier you build the habit, the easier it becomes to scale. This isn't about staying small forever. It's about starting small so you don't stay stuck forever. And here's the deeper shift. This strategy changes your identity. You stop being a consumer. You become an investor. You stop thinking, "What can I buy today?" You start thinking, "What asset can I own today?" That mindset alone changes your financial trajectory. Now let's address fear. What if the market crashes? What if there's a recession? There will be. What if there's uncertainty? There always is. But zoom out. Over decades, markets have recovered from wars, pandemics, crises, bubbles, and collapses. Companies innovate. Economies grow. Productivity increases. Human progress continues. Betting against that long-term trend has historically been a losing game. You are not betting on one company. You are betting on the engine of capitalism itself. And historically, that engine has moved forward, but forward. Now imagine yourself at 65 two scenarios. In the first, you ignored this. You spent the $5, you delayed investing. You hoped things would work out. You depend entirely on external support. In the second scenario, you were disciplined. You invested consistently. You let time do the heavy lifting. You have options. You have freedom. Which version of yourself do you want to become? Because both futures are being built right now. With $5, the truth is, becoming a millionaire is less about income and more about behavior. It's about patience. It's about resisting impulses. It's about trusting a system that works quietly in the background. It's about understanding that wealth is built in decades, not days. $5 a day is not about the money. It's about the habit. It's about proving to yourself that your future matters. It's about building a machine that runs whether you feel motivated or not. And once that machine is running, you can feed it more. You can optimize it. You can diversify it. But you cannot optimize what you never start. Start small. Start imperfectly. Start today, because $5 invested today is worth far more than $5 invested 10 years from now. And one day, when someone asks you how you became financially independent, you won't have a dramatic story. You won't talk about luck. You won't talk about secrets. You'll say something simple. I started with $5 a day, and I didn't stop. That's the secret most people overlook. It's not glamorous. It won't trend on social media, but it works. And in the end, Results are louder than hype. So here's my challenge to you. Find your $5, automate it, invest it, forget about it. Then focus on growing your skills, your income, and your knowledge. Let time and compounding handle the rest. Because the difference between a life of financial stress and a life of financial freedom might just be $5 a day, and the decision to begin.